Scientists have been working tirelessly to raise awareness about the pressing issue of climate change, and one of the key demographics they have been trying to reach is Christians. However, some individuals have accused scientists of attempting to manipulate Christians about climate change, often by using tactics that exploit their religious beliefs. It is essential to examine the ways in which scientists interact with Christians on this issue and to separate fact from fiction. One of the primary methods scientists use to engage with Christians is by highlighting the moral implications of climate change. Many Christians are motivated by a sense of compassion and a desire to care for the vulnerable, and scientists often appeal to these values by emphasizing the disproportionate impact of climate change on poor and marginalized communities. For example, rising sea levels and more frequent natural disasters threaten the livelihoods of low-lying coastal communities, many of which are inhabited by Christians. By framing climate change as a moral issue, scientists aim to inspire Christians to take action and advocate for policies that reduce greenhouse gas emissions and promote sustainable development. Another approach scientists use is to partner with Christian leaders and organizations to amplify the message about climate change. This can involve collaborating with churches, denominations, or faith-based groups to develop educational resources, host events, or launch advocacy campaigns. By working together, scientists and Christian leaders can help to build trust and credibility with Christian audiences, who may be more likely to listen to messages about climate change when they come from trusted sources within their own community. For instance, the Evangelical Environmental Network, a Christian organization, has partnered with scientists to promote climate action and advocate for policies that protect the environment. Some critics, however, argue that scientists are using manipulative tactics to persuade Christians to accept their views on climate change. One common accusation is that scientists are using fear-mongering or scare tactics to convince Christians that climate change is a pressing issue that requires immediate attention. While it is true that some scientists may use alarming language to describe the consequences of climate change, this is often because the scientific evidence is indeed alarming. Climate change is a serious threat to human well-being, and scientists have a responsibility to communicate the risks and consequences of inaction. Another criticism is that scientists are attempting to co-opt Christian theology to support their views on climate change. Some scientists may argue that caring for the environment is a biblical mandate, citing passages such as Genesis 1:28, which instructs humans to subdue and have dominion over the earth. However, this is not necessarily an attempt to manipulate Christians, but rather an effort to engage with their values and worldview. Many Christians believe that they have a sacred responsibility to care for the earth, and scientists are simply pointing out the ways in which climate change undermines this divine mandate. It is also worth noting that some scientists have been accused of being dismissive or condescending towards Christians who hold skeptical views about climate change. This can create a perception that scientists are trying to impose their views on Christians, rather than engaging in a respectful and open-minded dialogue. However, this is not a universal trait among scientists, and many are genuinely interested in engaging with Christians in addressing their concerns about climate change. In conclusion, while some critics may accuse scientists of trying to manipulate Christians about climate change, this is not necessarily the case. Scientists are using a range of approaches to engage with Christians, from highlighting the moral implications of climate change to partnering with Christian leaders and organizations. While some scientists may use alarmist language or appeal to biblical values, this is often a genuine attempt to communicate the urgency of the issue and to inspire Christians to take action. By working together and engaging in respectful dialogue, scientists and Christians can find common ground and work towards a common goal of protecting the environment and promoting sustainable development. Ultimately, the goal of scientists is not to manipulate Christians, but to inform and empower them to make a positive impact on the world.